straight down Market Street, an old area, I think it was called Rossville, right? Rossville has been redone. That whole area is new restaurants, and we got Chattanooga Choo-Choo.
Okay. I might not write down.
Oh, yeah, that's quite big.
We're trying to invite some stuff we can drink if you're bored.
Call to order the public committee meeting of the town of Madisonville, Wednesday, May 27th, 2026. Would you please call roll?
Councilman Haddock.
Present.
Councilman Bounds.
Present.
Councilman Dennis.
Present.
Councilwoman Faison.
Present.
Councilman Ogle.
Present.
Mayor Pilat.
Present. Would you please stand for the pledge of allegiance by Councilman Haddock?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is anyone here to speak to the council during the public comment period? Hearing no one from the audience, I would like to make two announcements. One, just to the council, a reminder of the District I LMA meeting is at the Anchor on June 11th, starting at 6 o'clock. And I also had Deidre attach a flyer for the 4th of July events in your packet tonight. I know I have one. Certainly, there's an upcoming meeting, and all of you are invited to join us in the planning of this. We do have several kids games. We have a boat parade this year, which will be in addition to the other activities. The boat parade, the 4th of July Veterans Recognition and Ceremony, and also the annual horseshoe contest that will be during the 4th of July events, and ending with fireworks. But I should have listed, there's also anticipated a flyover by vintage airplanes. So should be a fun day, and certainly I wanted to make you aware of one of the brochures that is out. There's going to be another one out with time schedules for the events, and so certainly plan to come to the river on the 4th of July. The next meeting, I'll send that to you. I don't recall already.
Do we have music?
We have a DJ. Yeah.
I remember if we had a band for the child.
Yeah, no. Anyone else interested, I'll send out that meeting date if you're interested. First thing on the agenda is Finance Committee. Committee members, Councilman Bounds, Councilman Haddocks, and the first thing listed is the FY 2027 budget. Yeah, Council, you've received that budget. We've discussed it. Is there any new questions or concerns or comments about that budget?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I have been reaching out to the property owners, businesses, residents along Covington Street, where the budget has proposed some sidewalk work, and started to receive some feedback from them that I'd just like to share with the council. Got a couple of comments about where the work for the sidewalk should land in terms of priority specific to the water. situation where we don't know at this point, I don't think, how much money, or if we're going to get any additional money from the state. I had some comments from the businesses about interruption, and I know we talked about perhaps doing some work at night. The engineer I reached out to, he said he thought some might be able to be done at night, but not all of it. But there would probably be an additional cost. I talked to one restaurant owner there who said that when the light poles were being changed out, he lost $17,000 in revenue just in 1 week. This project, I'm guessing, is going to go on for several weeks. I also spoke to...
Can I ask you though, your comments, and I've had several people reach out to me about you reaching out to them. Nothing's been designed yet. The preliminary design that was used for the grant application is all that we have. So until we get engineering, a study, a design, and a public meeting as to view that engineering and design, what was the purpose of reaching out to anyone? I'm puzzled as to your activities.
Well, first of all, it's a $330,000 expense in the budget that we're supposed to vote for, or vote on in a couple of weeks. But also just to, let people know what's going on in case they had some input into this expense.
It's always been our intent to have public input when we have something to talk about. But the project and the grant work that you're discussing right now is not even on the agenda because it's nothing to talk about. There's nothing been designed by the engineering firm.
Yeah, I'll let everybody know that that was a preliminary design that, that we received from the engineer. But I disagree that it's not on the agenda. I mean, if it's a $330,000 expense in the budget, it's on the agenda under the proposed budget.
Well, the budget is on the agenda. The project has we have no information on it. It is entirely just something that we would be discussing without any design, engineering, or plans, the explanation, the scope of the work, the anticipated timelines. None of that's been done.
Yeah, that's why I'm getting the public input now, so that we can know what that is before we start to do that work.
We hire professionals to do that work, and that's engineers. And then the engineers are going to present it to the public and the council when it's designed. Then the public comment, the public involvement, certainly we all want. But we want it when we have something to talk about.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't it in limbo till we hear back from the grant application? And then once we hear that, then we go to the engineering.
Yeah, the grant application has been approved, according to the engineers. And, but we haven't once met with the engineers since the grant has been approved. The grant amount has been approved by the council already, twice. And it's in the budget because it has been approved. It wouldn't be in the budget if it wouldn't have been approved already.
When you say the grant has been approved, you don't mean from the state?
Yes.
Okay, so the $900,000 has been approved,
Yes.
and we're going to get that.
That's,
Then I think now's the time to be talking about it.
well, not until you have a plan. You have nothing to talk about. I think we've
So is the question, do we strike it from the budget? You keep referring to the budget with this. Is that what we're looking to, is that what you're asking? Do we strike it from the budget and spend money elsewhere?
Not necessarily, although, again, we don't know what's going to happen with the water grants that we have asked for.
So back to my question, are you suggesting that we scratch this work?
I'm suggesting that we go out of our way, do everything we can to get as much input on it I think the light pole work that was done was a little taste of what happens in that area when we have road work going on, how it affects businesses there. The town has a longstanding history of supporting small businesses, the entrepreneur, and I'm in agreement with that. But if you're a small business owner, and in 1 week it was $17,000, and then your people who rely on tips lost income as well that week, I think it's incumbent upon us to reach out to them and say, hey, put this into the plan, including if it's going to cost more to do some of the work at night, which we believe it would, that we get that information first, put it into the plan, share it with the engineers, and also put it in the budget.
No, I totally trust me, I've got a soft spot for entrepreneurs, as I'm sure you know. I've successfully built and sold a few companies. It's not an easy thing to do, but comparing the light pole project to this project, it's apples to oranges. We didn't have engineering designs. We didn't have preliminary schedules that they bid upon. Those are things that you do during the design process. So my understanding to this point, what we've put together is a pure concept, which is used to go out and get the application to see if we get grant money. And as we all know, grant money is free money. Not necessarily free, it's getting our tax dollars back. From there, you then decide, are we going to move forward with the project? And then we bring the engineers in to write the specs. We can design this thing to be built however we want and over timeline we want, right? That's going to obviously impact your price one way or the other. But no, to compare the electrical company coming here on their own and doing their own work without having to follow an engineering schedule, because when engineers put these things together, obviously they're going to take the businesses into consideration. That has to be done. It's always done on projects that impact communities, with at least every architect and engineer in GC I've worked with. So I'd just be curious to know what was shared with the public to this point. I'm assuming you live on Main Street. Is that why you're here?
I'm just here.
No, I'd just be curious to know.
To just here. I know what it was like when we had the poles.
Yeah, that was an interesting circumstance that we had no control over. Yeah,
One
good.
day, 6 hours without electricity.
Yeah, I know I totally get that. It was interesting to watch it
I
unfold.
mean, I walked down to the triple nickel, and thank God they had electricity at that time, because they were breaking it up.
Right, so when projects are done through us, obviously engineers write specs. We set up processes are put in place with the GC that they follow so that we minimize impact to residents and, more important, to businesses, right? That's the key, is how do we get improvements? So those things were all drafted. We had no control over that project. Otherwise, obviously, it would have been done differently. So that's the beautiful part, is now that we know we're approved for the money, I think we would be foolish not to take advantage of it and then put together specs, give our concerns, like we always do, to the engineers when he puts this together and goes out to bid.
To answer your question, I shared with people, and I haven't hit everybody yet, haven't caught everybody at home, but I shared with them the same thing I shared with you, what I received from the engineer. I emailed it to everybody.
Mayor, maybe one thing to do, since this process has started, maybe one thing we should do as a town is just draft a document and either set it on our page or mail it out or do a robocall or whatever to share this information so it's all consistent. It's all coming from here. We all, everything is put together in such a way that we know that it's accurate and communicated thoroughly and properly.
That certainly is a good idea and has been suggested in the past that we keep the public informed. So it's not a bad idea. Is there a question on the budget?
None.
No question on the budget. We move into operations and maintenance. Committee members, Councilman Ogle, Councilman Dennis. Job description is the first thing listed. Councilman Ogle, you want to take that?
Well, I shared with everyone, I guess, a draft job description for one position, the town attorney position. After we did the SSA consultant salary study, Cody had mentioned that we could take all the duties that through that study had been identified from our employees and put them in the job descriptions. I'm in favor of doing that. Just like to hear who else is in favor of doing that or against it.
I think I showed pretty hefty support in that meeting that I'd love to see job descriptions written for all the town employees. I think it's important for people to know what their duties are, and it's important for us to know what someone's duties are. So that way when someone isn't performing within those duties, we can talk to them. Or they can come to us and say, hey, these things are being put on a plate, and I want to make sure this is defined for me. So, yeah, I think it's important, personally.
We're a small municipality, and for lack of a better phrase, we're a small business. In my opinion, having job descriptions could be a double-edged sword. I'm not in favor of doing just one particular job description for the attorney. If we do one for the attorney, I think we need to do one for the entire town. But I just can't find judgment to do a full job description when we're a small town. Everybody chips in and does what needs to be done. And if you use a job description and you don't specifically put a duty under their description, they can come back and say, hey, that wasn't in my job description, and use that against us. Or if you just do one person, it could be looked at, I feel, as discrimination. So I would leave it as it is, to tell you the truth. Everybody knows what they're supposed to do, and we have the managers in the position, so I, for one, am not in favor of it.
I second that. I think there's too many things that, take for instance, our maintenance workers, that they do various jobs, whether it's cutting grass or cleaning up or digging holes, and how detailed are you going to get on that? If it's something they can't physically do, we can talk about it. But if I don't agree with it either. I think, like you said, it's a small town. I've run small businesses, and everybody was asked to pitch in and do whatever they could, and I just don't see how it's going to be beneficial. I don't see the benefit of it.
Well, I see what you're saying. You don't want to get too defined, because sometimes people have to do jobs that aren't theirs, and that happens all the time. But you can also make a broader description. I mean, I think that's fairly simple, I know I had plenty of employees come to me when I was managing and say, hey, I'm confused if this is supposed to be my job or not. And that's never a fun conversation to have when it wasn't defined when you hired them. They don't know. And then someone else is telling that person, hey, you're supposed to do this now. And sometimes people are like, I don't mind doing it, but am I even supposed to be doing this? Could I get in trouble if I haven't been trained properly? I think loose job descriptions, especially, we have a turnaround. We have to list these job descriptions when we're looking to employ people. I would assume that we have loose job descriptions for all of the employees already, right? I mean, at least somewhat. It's a simple definition of this is what these people do. And I think we talked about this in our last meeting as well, in the executive session, that those job descriptions should be with the company that did our salary analysis. They should have a description to provide us, since they interviewed everyone and know what they do on a day-to-day basis. I don't know. I don't think it hurts. I like to have definition. I see what the concern is that you've brought up. I just think it's important. That's my personal opinion.
Well, since everybody's expressed their opinion, I'll express mine. I think y'all are aware of my opinion. if you're making a job description and it's going to be that broad, what are you really doing? What's the reason for making a job description? Today, we have employees that may be working on the gas system today, on the water system tomorrow, or cutting grass the next day, sometimes all in the same day. We have ladies in the office and administration that will do any job that needs to be done without a job description. They're an employee of the town of Madisonville. If you try to write a job description for the town clerk, good luck. Your job description is to do whatever needs to be done. When it comes to the attorney, he has done any and everything that we've asked him to do. I think a job description, I don't see a need, I don't see a benefit, and I'm certainly not in favor of that. We don't have a problem. If we had a problem, we would address it. We went from a problem, a suggested problem, from a challenge about the job to wanting to give him a raise. My goodness, that talk about a job description. We go from firing to hiring and giving a raise. I don't see a need for it, folks. I mean, certainly y'all vote for that. But if it's going to be done, it should be done everywhere. But I hope that's not a direction that we go in, because we've got, as Keith mentioned, we have a very small town, and our employees do. They're employed by the town, and they work, and they're supervised either by their supervisor or by me on a daily basis. And I don't know that you've had a problem with that. Deidre, you can speak as a town clerk. If you had job descriptions for your two ladies up front, and you needed one of them, whether it be in your office or in the finance office doing something, you may not be able to maneuver that. If they were out of work and you had a finance clerk who couldn't go up there and answer phone calls and take payments, that just, I don't think, you give me your opinion about job descriptions.
To be honest, we've never used them, and I personally have not had a problem. We're in the office, I can only speak for the ladies and I, we have the mindset of if it needs to be done, we're going to do it. I had one of the girls, she thought the toilet seat was too wobbly. She got in there and she tightened the toilet seat. I blow off the deck because I don't like the bugs. It's a catch-22. But I think you're going to have somebody that says it's not in my job.
That's a good something to bring up. Deidre asked, could we buy her a small blower so she could blow the deck off in the morning when she gets here because of the termites. I mean, she could have said, hey, call maintenance every morning and have them come blow the termites off the deck, but she didn't. So
I'm sure when everybody's doing their job interviews for employees, potential employees, they use catchphrases like perform all duties necessary to support municipal operations. Or cross duties means you're going to be doing multiple things. You're not just putting blinders on doing one thing.
Because up front, or even in here, in the office, when it's an all-call, like we calling because there's late fees or we're about to disconnect, every last one of us are answering the phones. Jana could say, just because she's finance, she doesn't take utility payments. You know, she's not a clerk. She would then say, well, I don't have to answer the phone. There's times when there's a utility clerk or two that are both out, and that Jana and I are up at the front answering phone calls. Today, there was a sewer issue. Kyle's on vacation. I went in with Tony to discuss it with the mayor to see what our next steps needed to be.
another good example, cutoffs.
Yeah.
We have people from the gas system who does our cutoffs once a month. Then when we have cutoffs, they put the gas system aside, and they're doing the disconnects and the reconnects as people pay. So it's just,
It's just teamwork as work families go. You're going to be called upon to do certain things that you don't normally do outside your normal day job duties, but, we're a small municipality. We just don't need to do it, in my opinion.
we don't vote on anything tonight, so all I would suggest is that if it's brought up, make your mind up between now and next month's regular session meeting. Is there any more further discussions? Hearing none, we'll move into the next thing under operations and maintenance. You received a letter that I received last, I think it's dated the 15th. The letter came in from the Attorney General, and it was their opinion that we received on rental discounts. When I received it, I read it, I handed it to our attorney. I asked him for his opinion and asked him to do some research on it because the Attorney General's opinion appeared to be that we could do it, but there was some stipulations as to benefits. How would it benefit a discount to a resident? How would it benefit the town to do that? So I just asked him to do some research on it. I'll ask him to share that research with you, and then you all can make a decision or as to a direction that we may or may not want to move into.
Thank you, Mayor. I prepared some notes. It's not a formal letter or anything. I can distribute the notes, okay, to all the council members, and I can read from them.
You have copies?
Yeah, right here.
Why don't we do, Tim, would you, if you have enough copies for the council?
Yeah.
And then you just read from it, and they can take that home with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe I'll elaborate a little bit as I read it. Okay, as you will note, at the top, it's basically the title. It's the response to the opinion of the Louisiana Attorney General regarding the legality of offering daily rental discounts to its residents and business owners for the use of its public facilities. So the first thing I tackled is, how do I think about the Attorney General's response to the town's request for opinion? And I say, agree, that the town does possess the chartered authority to offer discounts for the rental of its public facilities if consistent with the state's constitution and the Louisiana Constitution, Article 7, Section 314, which prohibits the transfer from the town of anything of value in whole or in part without receiving anything of value or the benefit that is commensurate, okay, with that which is being transferred, even if it's a partial benefit is prohibited if not commensurate with the rental. So under 2, then I go into a note which I said all the reasons given by the town and recited to the AG opinion, I understand, save one, okay, and which the Attorney General did not use. And that was with regard to taxes, okay? I heard it mentioned in these chambers, and I heard it mentioned in the Attorney General opinion that actually we could use the payment of taxes as a reason why we would give them rentals. In my opinion, that you cannot use taxes because taxes is a legality. You have no choice. You got to pay your taxes. Otherwise, if you allow discounts to residents who pay their taxes, then what they're being allowed to do is to determine where their taxes are going, at least in part, okay? And you can't do that. It's prohibited, okay? It's the legislative branch that does that, okay? So you can't use taxes, but I don't think there's really an issue there because the Attorney General didn't use that as a reason. Rather, use the other type of things, additional business and everything else. I note that the Attorney General opinion is not your typical opinion because it's a contingent opinion. And the contingency is, and I quote, "provided the town receives a value or benefit that is commensurate with the use of a public facility discount." So if you cannot show that there is a public benefit with at least some particularity, okay, how much, I don't know, I've never seen a case on it, then you may have a problem in the future if somebody wants to contest it, okay? And the last thing I note is that the authority to provide the discount must be accomplished by ordinance, okay? So when I go into the issues then that are presented to this council, the first thing that comes up is the ordinance itself. It must be very carefully and meticulously worded so that the benefit to be received and ultimately received is not vague, ambiguous, and/or otherwise not subject to plausible calculation. If the town does not receive an increase in the use of public facilities, and that's outside and apart from the use by the residents and business owners themselves, nor if the community is encouraged to use the facility outside the town, and does not bring visitors to the town which stimulate the local economy, and how you judge that, I don't know, then the ordinance may be deemed unconstitutional. In other words, the value to be received by the town should be subject to calculation, or the benefit simply not received by the town. The second issue is administration. How is the discount program, okay, to be administered to include requirements, satisfaction of these requirements, and enforcement? For instance, if such administration does not assure that the parties receiving the benefit are residents and/or business owners, then the lack of administration can be used to show that the commensurate value is not shown. So, for instance, if somebody comes in and they fill out the application and they pay, and it's really not for them, it's for a friend of theirs who live outside, okay, the town, and there's really an enforcement and the administration is lax, then basically what you're doing is you're offering it to out-of-town people because you're not simply enforcing it. And how are you going to enforce it? Or are you going to enforce it with penalties, et cetera? That's going to be another issue. And the last one is, will the proper administration of the discount program require resources? And I don't know the answer to this, whether it be manpower, et cetera, because if it does, then it may result in the erosion of any benefit to the town. So, for instance, if they have some type of anything, whether it be a concert or something, okay, and they want to use the town's facilities, and it requires the town to expend a net amount, okay, for that program, then, you know, technically you need to deduct that, okay, from what the town would otherwise receive, whatever that may be, okay, to determine really whether or not the town is getting a commensurate value. Finally, I put a final word in here because I heard this in one of the council meetings, okay, well, you know, we want to make our residents happy, okay? Well, it's not the happiness of the residents and business owners which determine value, it's the economic value. And you can argue that until the sheep come in home or whatever, however that goes, okay? It's the economic value, and that's constitutionally, okay, enforceable, because they have a constitutional article that addresses that. So it's not going to be calculated, I don't think, unless you go from year to year, well, how many visitors did we have, what it was, that type of thing. I'm not sure how you do that, okay? Other than that, okay, sure, you can very carefully and meticulously word the ordinance and just go on, because the value, the commensurate value is going to be vague, okay? And you're not going to be able to calculate it from my viewpoint. But if that's okay with the town and just go with it, then sure, you can do it, and you're not going to get a problem with the Attorney General, okay? But remember, this opinion is conditional. Okay, most of the Attorney General opinions are not conditional, but it is a conditional because it uses the word provided. That means if. That's all.
Thank you. Counsel, speak freely on your thoughts there.
This goes back a year and a half to a suggestion that I made. Actually, I've got the original resolution if you guys want to look at it, although this says we would have to have an ordinance. But I think, I mean, this could be rewritten as an ordinance, but I think it addresses all the things that the town attorney just brought up. For instance, there's no discount on police fees, there's no discount on the setup fee or the cleaning fee, because those are additional costs that the town would have. To me, this makes good sense, and the Attorney General's office in particular, one thing that I found that was interesting was that near the end of it, our office has previously opined that a municipality must obtain in return for the use of public facility a value or benefit that is commensurate with such use. So obviously, I think when I read that, other municipalities have asked for permission to do this because they've given out opinions on it. And she goes on to say, here it appears the reasoning given by the town, acknowledgement of taxpayer support, promoting utilization of public facilities, stimulating the local economy, et cetera, likely satisfies this requirement.
Why do you have to measure it? How do you measure it?
I guess I would measure it by looking at, Bruce mentioned an annual basis, looking at the value of discounts versus what we spend on the facility, what those expenses are, anything that we can tie to these three things that the Attorney General pointed out. I don't know how often people would use this. I'm guessing it would not be used a lot. And it would be very easy to add up the discounts and say, gosh, this doesn't even come close to what this facility cost us.
We didn't make a resolution to request this opinion, am I correct? We didn't actually have a resolution that we all agreed on to request this opinion.
Well, that's a good question. So
I think it's interesting that the Attorney General provided an opinion on this when we didn't make a resolution, but when I called them, they said we needed a resolution. Not that that is our fault or anyone here's fault, but I just think that that's interesting that they sometimes want a resolution to get an opinion, but others they don't.
I noticed that myself, and actually, I originally requested an opinion, and Ms. Morrill sent me a letter saying I had to get a resolution to get it. And I brought it back to the council, and then Bruce said he could get it without a resolution. So now we have an opinion. So it's on us to figure out, well, what are we going to do with the opinion?
It goes back to, you've got a room full of attorneys and you ask for an opinion on a subject, you're going to get 100 different opinions on the same subject.
Let me take this one step further. I wasn't going to say this, but you might as well know this, okay? As you know, I've been practicing law for more than 50 years. I've been in and out of litigation for most of that time. You can get an attorney who gets mad because he has to pay, he's out of town, he has to pay a certain amount that residents, get discounts on. So he files a class action suit for all the people during a certain period of time, it could be years, okay, who had to pay the regular amount, okay, and the residents got a discount, and he sues on the basis that it was not constitutionally proper. Now, what the result of that is, I have no idea. Depending on things such as how good is the attorney, how they do class actions and stuff like that. But we're in a litigious society, and I don't like it as an attorney, okay? But that's where we are. And so if he files a lawsuit like that, whoever it may be, are you prepared to put up the documentation, okay, to show what that value is to the town in a form that is more than just, vague and ambiguous?
As much as I would like to offer the discount to residents, it sounds like this is far more work and potential problems than it may be worth. That's kind of what I'm hearing from all of this. I think it'd be lovely. I think that residents deserve discounts on all of the facilities here. But it sounds like a nightmare to manage and hope that we won't be accused of doing something improper. I don't know, but the juice is worth the squeeze.
Let me give you just, I don't need to drag this out, but so you got a guy that comes in and he lies on the application, okay? And Mary and I discussed this, okay? So I said, well, have him sign a verification of the application, that everything that he provides in the application is true and correct. Whether they do that or not, I don't know, okay? But you find out after the fact that he wasn't a resident. You're going to sue him? What if he tells somebody, oh, all you have to do, don't worry about it, and somebody else does, and somebody else does? Are you going to sue him? Okay? And how do you manage that? You know, you send them a letter of demand? I mean, how much, and what is the administration, what personnel do we need, okay, to be able to enforce this, you know, the restriction that you have to be either a resident of the town or have a business owner of the town?
And do you send the police department by, or who do you send by to check that you're, look at their license and see that they're there?
No,
And if they're-
the mayor and I,
I'm a-
the mayor and I concluded that you really can't go that far.
I don't want to go to that depth to supervise it. So why don't we just, we've got the information now. And unless you have more comment on this, I think we all need to consider, you know, if it's going to be considered, how much of a discount, on what you're going to give a discount, and then how you're going to monitor it and supervise it. I think there's a lot of questions to be answered before it goes to a vote.
As far as that's concerned, I think that's all in my original one-pager that I put here. But to me, if we're going to give a discount, I mean, it's pretty simple to verify if somebody lives in town. We could say, you know, give us a utility bill. That you know, you pay your water bill, your garbage. I mean, that's simple to me.
But it says in here, there must be in attendance and they must pay the bill. Who's going to verify they're in attendance?
The same person who takes the application to use the facility. If you want the discount, you put up that.
You got to go to the event to see if they're there. I'm getting it's too many little things.
Again, we do have the councilman's resolution, review it. You've got Bruce's comments, his review, and you've got the Attorney General's that was sent to you. So you've got a lot that you can look at and form your own opinion for the next committee meeting or the next council meeting. I just don't think we have a solution tonight. If this needs to continue, we can, but I don't know.
Yeah, well, the Attorney General's opinion makes reference to an ordinance. I wrote this up as a resolution, so, I mean, I could write it up as an ordinance and find a place to put it in the code of ordinances if we want to consider it and bring it to a vote.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, with the Attorney General's opinion, with your resolution, that could be turned into an ordinance, and with the legal opinion that Bruce researched, you know, why don't all of us take those and evaluate your feelings and your positions?
Do we want to voice as individuals whether we want to pursue this? I go through more work if.
Okay, that's certainly.
I mean, but my opinion is we don't want to consider this because of the legalities and the details, but that's my opinion. And
Okay.
I tend to follow both Brad and Kristen brought up valid points about the legalities of these things that Bruce brought up. I don't know if I'm going to go down that rabbit hole with this, to tell you the truth.
Tim, any thoughts?
Yeah, I've recently, as Deidre knows, rented some space here. The fees we charge are astronomically low to begin with. listening to some of the concerns that we could run into later. I love the idea of giving residents discounts, anything we can do to help the taxpayers, help the residents. But I think Kristen kind of summed it up with, I don't know if the juice is worth the squeeze. I like the idea. I just think the implementation is rather risky. And we're going to take facilities that we know we're not making money on now, we're going to make even less. In fact, it'll be compounded with the additional labor we'll have. Overall, I love the concept, I love the idea. I just think it's going to be extremely difficult to manage. And considering our rates already are incredibly low. So, once again, I like the idea, but I just think it's going to be awfully difficult to manage properly and to keep us out of trouble later if something were to go awry.
Sounds like it's not something that we're looking to pursue. Now, understanding that, without a vote, you gave your opinions. Thank you very much. Can we move forward? Moving forward, the Parks and Recreation Committee members, Councilman Haddix, Councilwoman Faison. We had on the agenda update for the riverfront improvements. I don't think we have any thing to report on there. So, am I right, Council?
Yeah.
You have nothing to report on?
I have a question. If you've heard since April 27th about what Joey was requesting from the survey company?
I read the same email that was, we were called and copied on. I think more was requested by Joey
Right.
than was originally requested. I think he added to that survey.
That's been a month ago.
Okay, I haven't heard what,
Heard anything since?
I haven't heard anything since then. No, I have not. So you can reach out to him to see, and if we need to reach back out to the surveying company, I'll question them. I don't mind questioning them, but I think he added surveying requests to their job. Okay. Next thing is public safety. Councilman Dennis, Councilman Bounds. On the agenda is update on new police hires. Do we have a report there?
Chief, can you step up and address the council and let them know what you know about the new hires so far?
Thank you. It looks like right now, we spoke to the mayor or whatever, when it first started, we had an applicant, he passed the psychological examination. Everything looks real good for him, so I think we're all gonna proceed with the hire, Mayor, if everything was all right. I know we had talked about him when he come and met you. Everything was good with him. He was trying to get his, all the items together that he needed as far as the job itself, the weapon and belt and stuff like that, but no, it looks real good. We're looking at a second one now. I'm gonna call him tomorrow. I was debating back and forth on him, but I'm gonna bring him in and at least try to talk to him. He's got previous experience also, so that's gonna help us out.
What experience do they, you told us before, but I forgot, what experience the two gentlemen have?
But this
Lady and gentleman?
the one we're looking at now, Doug, he's probably got, I don't know the exact amount, Councilman, probably upwards of 8 years, give or take 8 years. He was a professional athlete before that, but he was with St. Tammany Sheriff's Office. He was also with the Causeway. I'm thinking around 8 years. I don't have the exact number in my head, but he's going to be considered a veteran officer.
Is there any challenge to hiring him? I don't know what the hesitation's been.
No, it's just-
Did you find any additional?
We did not. No, we were looking at some other things that I thought was going to be concerning, but it wasn't. But no, he's fine. We just we're trying to get his stuff together that he needs, I guess, for the job, basically. But no.
Have we hired him? Have you contacted him to hire him?
I have. He hasn't come in. We got him a packet. Did you give him a packet? He's got the packet all filled out. He's got to do a couple more things with the packet. I'm going to bring him in and make an appointment. He and I and Deidre sit down. But no, he's basically hired. He just hasn't been in yet.
Okay.
That's a second individual.
Great news.
Second individual, I've got some high hopes for. I'm gonna speak to him again tomorrow. We've had several phone conversations. He was a veteran with St. Tammany Sheriff's Office for a while, and very, very educated, extremely educated. So we're gonna try to bring him in tomorrow and have a conversation with him and see if he showed great interest in trying to get hired. He don't have a whole lot of road experience, was my concern, my initial concern. He's got experience, but it was primarily corrections and, I guess for lack of better words, facility security for parish government in certain areas that he was involved in. But he's...
The first candidate, the one that we've hired, when's he start?
We just haven't got him into. He's just got to come in and do his paperwork. We get the packet done. He's got the packet done. Had a couple of questions on it. He had to come and correct some. I just got to get him with Deidre, and we just haven't done it yet.
But just so the council knows, when I interviewed him, it was probably a month ago.
Oh, no, it wasn't that long, but it's been several weeks. And we had some more follow-up to do with him.
And he did a very good interview.
Yes.
And he was approved that day.
Yes, he was.
To move forward.
So,
Okay, thank you very much.
thank
How
you.
many vacancies do we have right now on the police force?
2. Yes, sir. We got, basically, we had 2 officers, Mike and myself. Sean's vacancy was there when he left, and Paul, I'm sorry, thank you. Sean and Paul, thank you. It's been a long day. Sean and Paul's right now. So we've been filling in. Mike and I have been filling. Mike adjusted his hours for us, and I just kind of come in and out. So it's been pretty well filled. We haven't had any shifts that wasn't filled the way we're working right now. But it's challenging, to say the least. But hopefully we'll get these 2, and we definitely got this one. Hopefully the second one will work out, and that'll give us a full boat. We looked at a lot of candidates, Councilman, just to let you know, I say a lot. We looked at several candidates, and some of them were good officers. We just don't feel they were good for Madisonville. I guess I don't want to be so blunt, but I will be. You know, we don't want anybody coming in messing things up. And I guess to be that blunt.
So we can look forward to filling the one soon.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Hopefully within this week.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Chief. Any other comments for the public safety? None? Okay, before we have a motion to adjourn, I'll just give you some update. I told you I was very encouraged by my trip to Baton Rouge, and certainly it's not over. But just to give you an update, I'm very, very happy with where we stand today. I'm excited for Madisonville, and we'll tell you that Senator Wheat and Representative Culver do an excellent job for our town. These 2 gentlemen work very hard. They work very close with me. I was on the phone today with Senator Wheat, and I'll just give you an update, and I'll read you some comments that we've got about a week left, and if they don't make the governor mad, we're going to be in good shape, and I think we're all going to be very happy. But we have some information that's been shared with me. Amendment number 62 in the attached House Bill 2 Finance Committee list adds water main improvements for $500,000 for the town of Madisonville. So that's been approved and it's in the budget. We also have in the budget, as of today, on the Senate floor, Amendment 63, there's a road improvement project for the riverfront, and it's it's a project for $1 million in priority 5, which is don't go out and get ready to spend that money, because that just recognizes it. That's a good place to be. At least you're being recognized. But included in that $1 million priority 5 is $100,000 of capital outlay savings fund And that's in the project to be spent in this legislative year. So we've got the $500,000 in capital outlay for the water line replacement, and we got $100,000 for road and parking improvements on the riverfront. In addition to those two, we have a payout by the State General Fund, statutory dedications out of the Criminal Justice and First Responders Fund to the town of Madisonville for the police department in the amount of $60,000. That's for a new vehicle. And we discussed that this week, I guess, or last week, the challenges that Mike's vehicle has given him, which has been very good. It's served the town well, but certainly this came in and is good news. In addition to that, we have a payout by the State General Fund, the statutory deductions out of the strategic investments across Louisiana Fund to the town of Madisonville for $125,000, and that's also that's a request that we made to the senator for a utility truck for the gas system to replace a 15-year-old, one of the black trucks, the 15-year-old trucks that hauls the equipment and hauls the oh shucks, I'm looking for the request here. The excavator when we go out to gas jobs. So both of those, all four of those things are very encouraging, and they're in the project for this year. But I'll read you the last statement I got today. It said the Senate has completed its considerations on the money bills, so House Bill 2 and House Bill 1 will be sent back to the House for the House to vote on whether to accept or reject the Senate amendments. But all indications are that the House will concur in all of the Senate amendments. After the House concurs, House Bill 2 and House Bill 1, we will reprint and include the Senate amendments and will become House Bill 2 enrolled. The next step is to go to the governor for review and his signature, and although it is not likely, the governor does have a line item veto authority. So during the next week, if the governor just doesn't get mad at our senator or our representative, certainly I think this has been a very successful legislative session for Madisonville, and I'm very excited about it because these all could be projects and monies that have no matching funds. One of them has a matching fund, but because it's in the water system and because of the size of town that we have the ability to apply for this to be no matching funds in that. So keep your fingers crossed. It's good news. It's ever since I went to Baton Rouge, I was very encouraged by what was being told to me. Last week we got some good news. Today I got some more, and I'm excited about where we're at.
Thank you for your work.
So the $6 million request, that's definitely not going to happen next year.
The six
Capital outlay, right?
Well, not in capital outlay. That was actually $7,400,000. So no, it's not in this bill, no. The loan application is still moving forward. Whether that, we get that or not, we don't know.
So is there any timeline on that?
The loan? Yeah. I don't have one tonight. But we have, again, as you know, we have $3 million of the town money to drill a new well. And now we have $500,000 to replace pipe. So we've got an excellent start on doing several things to improve our water system. But no, the 7.4 million for the well and the tower is not included.
Do you know where we are with the engineering work to go to the Department of Health for a permit for the new well?
They met on site. Kyle met with the engineers on site. They're working on it. No, I don't have any more update on that than that. Any other comments?
I'll make a suggestion that all the council email Senator Wheat and Representative Carver and tell them thank you for all the hard work again this year. Those fellows have made a lifetime of changes representing our town, and we should be most grateful for that.
Not a bad idea. If again, before the end of the month, the governor doesn't veto it, which I don't anticipate, I really don't. They get along well with the governor. Any other comments? If not, I'd accept a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Dennis,
Second.
second by Councilwoman Faison. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you very much.
Your eyes don't deceive you. What? I said your eyes don't deceive you. It's time.
You got it? Okay. Yeah, I don't have. See it.
I got it. 37, and you just got LA.gov. Oh, no, I got kids' contact, I don't know if I have, I got the next line. Right,
You got Kim?
I got both.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Need my help calling that guy in the morning, I'll go knock on his door.